Howdy, I wanted to have a little chat with you today about assessment. And first off, real quick, I did get a couple of people asking me. One of the latter videos I made, they commented about how clearly they could hear me, but my microphone was way over there. That's because I'm not using that microphone, obviously. I am using the camera that I typically record with. That is what I am using, but for the audio, you're not getting the sound through the mixing board and all that like you normally get. I've actually got my DJI Pocket 2 set up right here. It's recording the audio, and I'll just do all the editing and put them together, because to be real honest, the DJI audio is like a million times better than anything else I've got to offer. So that's why, if I want to do a decent video, you know, audio is an important component to the video. I know that if audio sucks, I'll click off a video in a heartbeat. And so I wanted to have better audio. That's way, I mean, it has to do with assessment, but not on the same level of what I'm referring to. Now, assessment's one of those animals that a whole lot of people like to outsource. Well, why is that, Watchman? Well, because it's one of those things that isn't free. You have to work for it. You have to put your mind to it. You have to actively think. You have to play as many devil's advocates in a session as what you can. It's work. Truly doing an honest assessment is a lot of work. And in fact, I see a lot of times where people claim to make assessments and they didn't even scratch the surface. In fact, I see it all the time. That's much, and I'm sorry, but that's going to be much of your content creators in the prepping genre. They all have done their own assessments, with the exception of they're using each other's assessment sheet, right? So that's the problem. First of all, a lot of times, man, the biggest problems that people come across is just not knowing the right questions to ask, right? A lot of times I've noticed in life, so many things could have been prevented if people would have asked the right questions. And that's where assessment is very critical, because and it's important that you assess something from A to Z. You don't give the job to anybody else for any period of time, unless it's for a particular reason that you're not qualified to make that assessment. If you're not qualified to make that assessment, well, then your assessment should be that you should find somebody that is. That's another part that's a little bit hard for people to grasp. Okay. Assessment is so critical in our everyday life. It's not just an SHTF thing. It's not just a... But what I see, and I started to touch on it a bit earlier, is there's a lot of people that outsource their assessment. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, they will find people that they pick to trust, that they pick to like, and then it doesn't matter what those individuals say, their assessment automatically is that they're getting the proper information, that they're being told the truth. Regardless if it's true or not, regardless of anything, it's easier for them. And so if they can so easily put their stamp of approval on something as having somebody else talk about it, well, then they damn well will. There's a lot of people that bullshit themselves endlessly. Bear Independent actually replied to the comment I made the other day on a video, and in regards to the how you going to replace your foods thing, right? And he started spewing off about how they've got fuel stored and they can't say how much because of OPSEC. Quit, dude. Quit. You all need to come back down on the human level again. Some of you guys just, I don't know what the fuck happens, man. You make 100,000 viewers, and next thing you know, you think you're a household name and your shit don't stink. Well, let me tell you what, it still stinks. It still stinks horribly because you've never done anything about it. Plain and simple. And it's not going to be something that goes away. It's not. How is hunger, how is starvation going to go away? It's not. So see, if you don't properly assess whether or not you should pay attention to this elephant in the room, you automatically set yourself up and everybody around you for failure. Now that's my assessment of your performance if you outsource assessment. That's plain and simple. I might have lost a couple of people there, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that understood that 100%. There are some things that you do not ever, never, ever, for any reason outsource. Assessment is one of them. You don't take other people's opinions on shit. I'll tell you what, if you want somebody to hate, pick me. I am the easiest guy to hate you'll ever find. You will find countless people that has things to say about me. Why? Because all my entire life I have stood up. You show me somebody that doesn't have enemies, and I'm going to show you one weak piece of work. I've got an older brother that fits that category. No enemies. Weak piece of shit. Useless weak piece of shit. Lives like 2-3 blocks away from me. Haven't seen him in over a decade. Don't care. Why? Why would I? Why would I? I don't do liars. I don't do liars. Even if I got to put up with them for a little while, I don't do them. And eventually, they leave my life. And I don't do liars. So therefore, until there's something very important, that until my brother can admit, he can stay out of my life. He can stay out of my life. You don't deny a child. But different subject, different time, different assessment. See, what happens is a lot of people will outsource their assessments because it not only does it make life much easier for the moment, but it also it relieves a lot of responsibility because if this person's taking care of the assessment, well then I don't need to worry. I can go on and do this and I don't have to worry about any of that. There is a whole lot of that goes on in the preparedness community, right? A lot of people that use their personal opinion when making assessments, and that's not a good idea either. Not a good idea either. I know people that tell you all day long about solar ovens, but they'll ridicule solar panels left and right. What kind of sense does that make? You have to do your own assessing. Again, from A to Z. All the way through, you have to do your own assessment. But here's that twist. In order for you to make a good assessment, you have to actually know what the hell you're talking about. You have to know what you're thinking about. And in some cases, you may not be the best choice to make that assessment. And in those cases, you have to rely on your assessment of picking out someone to make a good assessment. You follow me? A lot of assessing going on. There's no way around assessment. There's no way around it. We can take the most irresponsible routes with it. We can take the most responsible routes with it. I'm telling you right now, the prepping community, all of them, the content creators, average everyday folks, they need to stop, completely stop cold, put everything out of their minds, put everything they've ever learned from anyone out of their minds, and start with a fresh assessment. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I hear people that are supposed preppers coming out and speaking about how they didn't have this right, they didn't have that right whenever they experience something like a hurricane or a bad storm or whatever the case may be, to where they had to rely on their preps, and they found out there were many areas they weren't as ready as they thought they were. It's a common thing. It's a very common thing. You know what? It shouldn't be. The reason why it's a common thing is because these people are not doing their own assessing. They're either following somebody else or just not doing it at all. One of the two. And there's a lot of people that don't do it at all. They just follow other people, do what they tell them to do, and they don't even remotely address the assessment. There are so many people that bought so much shit for preparedness that's never taken it out of the box ever, have no idea how it works. And they have no chance. They have no chance. I know people that are going to be heavily reliant on their Baofeng radios, and they refuse to learn how to use them. I don't know what to tell people. People damn well will get what they deserve. That's a fact. There's a whole lot of us that's been talking about how we wish they'd take warning labels off of everything and, you know, let nature take its course. I think we're about to see that. But I think we're going to find out in short order that a lot more people needed the warning signs than what had them. Why is that? Because they let pride and ego enter their assessment. Critical and fatal flaw. Shalom.